Man, we kind of started something, didn't we? Boy, some of y'all got mad at a question. It's okay though. That's what we're here for. Y'all already know what's up. It's Fangs up.
Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started.
Are you kidding me? Unreal!
While our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.
Does he have it? Yes, he does!
And that might be the knockout punch.
Hey, greetings, salutation. Another episode of Fangs up here. And woo boy, it was a little hot on these little Twitter streets. Um, but shout out to HBCU Digital Network. This is home to Herb Stewart and the Black Techies. Also, home to the Fangs Up podcast. And man, today, the podcast stirred a little bit. So we were gonna do the recruiting show today. We're gonna move that to Saturday. I keep moving that thing back, man. We're gonna do it for Saturday for sure. Because I ain't gonna lie, if you don't know, I not only do the Fangs Up podcast, I also run the FQ Family Twitter page, and I put the question out there. So I put a little question out there. We'll get that in a minute. But the question was definitely related to the SWAC Championship. Before we do that, though, we're gonna jump into this basketball season a little bit. We did get all conference bowler player right quick. Conference player of the week in bowling. Give us some credit, give us some love. But men's basketball, look, it gave me a little hope. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you about that. Like, men's basketball team gave me some hope. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I was watching the Oregon game, like a lot of you were, and for a while, but we were hanging tight with them boys. Like, I ain't gonna even hold you on that. Like, I ain't gonna tell you no lies. I'm gonna tell you the truth about that one. They gave me a little bit of hope, and already, look, I'm with you on that. Now the girls, we didn't get as much hope, but we got a commitment, and look, I'll take it. So look, we got a commitment. Eve Alexander, 6 foot forward. She's out of Louisiana. So a little good get right there. Good times we had on the highest 7 hills, man. So but to our question, man, and look, well, y'all was hot with a brother. I ain't even lie. So the question I posed was, should the SWAC championship have been moved to Doak? It's a question, not a statement. And I put the little meme up there. If y'all don't know, again, with the fifth quarter, a little more loosey-goosey. And it's a lot more like centered on fan engagement. Like, so that's where during the game you'll notice, especially if I'm not at the game, that sorry, I heard some noise in the background. So where if I'm not at the game, that you'll notice that more things are taking place. Sorry, we got neighbors outside. That's what's going on. I'm like, what the what? But you'll really notice that in that case, I'm a lot more engaged. So sorry. I'm like, what the heck? There ain't nobody but me, but they're outside. So my question was though, should the game be moved to Doak? I know it ain't good podcasting, but look, you start thinking about your safety. It's like I gotta get that thing. But the question was, it was put out there. And I put it out there partially for a lot of reasons, honestly. Some of it was just for the poops and the giggles. Like, I just wanted to see, like, what Rattler Nation thought. Like, how do y'all feel about the idea of FAMU moving the SWAC championship to Doak? Wasn't a critique of the stadium or anything like that. And I like already, look, answer I already got, no. which I'm really cool with actually. But I also learned a lot in the process. Like one of which, y'all don't know that Bragg's not that big anymore. Like, but we'll talk about that. But I'm a historian, so let me kind of go back and give you that. And within that, they're shooting fireworks outside. That's what's throwing me off. These people shoot fireworks all the time of year. But I'm a historian in nature. So FAMU's played football games at Doak Campbell Stadium before. Like, let's not play that game like it's never happened before. But then let's also not be those ahistorical people who don't pay any attention to that kind of stuff. Because, boy, look, when I said that, you would have thought I shot y'all in the pinky toe. Y'all folks was upside. Like, I'm looking like Quick over here. And I definitely just posed the question. But it was for a good reason, too. Like, I do understand. Like I said, some of y'all don't realize Bragg's not big. It's a smaller stadium than the stadium we had a few years ago. But we also do have a history of playing some major games at Doak. FAMU defeated the University of Miami there. We also won a couple other games there. Now, granted, I know the history some of y'all have with Florida State. Some of y'all hate Florida State. That's your problem. I'll be honest, I got fewer issues with Florida State than I do with these other schools in the state that have surpassed us in enrollment, in other ways, in other areas. Like, y'all already know how I am about UF. They got how many agricultural sites? How many does FAMU have? It's I'm gonna let you have that though. But we also share facilities with them a lot of time. Like, and I get it. Like for some of y'all, it's about the principalities. Like it ain't even really about how much of you it's the principality of the situation. Like y'all just don't want to hear it. And that's cool. But it's about the principality, Smokey. I get it. But at the same point, let's act like we ain't never just went over there and used their stuff. Like it's happened in the past. Not something we should continue having go on though. So, and even still, like this past tennis season, we used the indoor tennis facility. When we had a swim team, we ended up using their pool at the end of the program pretty much. Like Seminole golfing. A lot of times when there's a major golf tournament, we use the Seminole golf course, which is right next to FAMU, literally the School of Engineering. Anyways, but what I did love, I loved your responses. Like I'm normally not a troll on Twitter and social media, but I loved how many of y'all were like, no, heck no, and past that. Y'all were very vehemently against the idea of even doing anything at FSU, which is really cool. I enjoyed that. And I welcome your criticisms. Different person might have tried to argue back and forth. I'm not going to argue because I didn't make a statement. I asked a question. And if it offended you, I ain't going to lie to you. Yeah, she might apologize, but me, nah, I'm not apologizing for that. I posed a good question. Like, and the question was, would you want to have a SWAC championship in FAMU? Now, I'll give y'all this. You ever gone to a game in Florida State? I get it. If you've never been to a game in Florida State, shut the hell up. You just sound ignorant and stupid. Like, respectfully. But if you have gone to a game in Florida State, it's not the same. It's not as good, and I don't like it as much. So before y'all are like, man, wait, hold up. I'm a huge FSU fan. But my first Florida State game, I was so disappointed. I was looking for vendors. I'm like, where the vendors at? What are people selling? And they're like, oh yeah, we don't do that here. I'm like, man, this sucks. I go on the record. UF's my favorite in-state venue as far as the big schools. I mean, FAMU's my favorite, but UF's a better vibe. Like just whole vibe. UF is better. And I'm a Seminole fan. I don't like the Gators. So yeah. But look at that. Look, missed the beginning of the show, but no love for FSU here. And look, I respect it. I can't stand the Gators. And I don't support private schools. So you already know UM Cookman, done with that. And I'm not big on UCF either. But again, I get it. I get the law school thing. I'm gonna be real with y'all. If you really want to be mad at somebody about this law school, you better watch your stuff because UCF, you're keeping UCF from having a law school in Orlando. Like, there's this thing where if you don't know the law, you can't duplicate PhD programs in the same city. We've covered that before. So, but the question was posted partially because I saw how quickly tickets were moving. And I also we just left the Florida Classic. There was 50 some thousand people in the stadium. About 35 to 40,000 of them were FAMU people. And I'm being like very nice and saying 35 to 40. So I was like, if this game sells out, let me get in front of this. Because somebody's going to say, man, they should have put that over there at Florida State. Okay. Well, hey, let me ask you, would you want that? And it was a resounding no, it was great. But for that, some of the things that we probably need to consider with going into that, how do we make Bragg better? Like, I'm gonna just ask the honest question. Like, the north end zone, that's not even really related to athletics. Like, that's a whole nother situation there. So you can't put those temporary bleachers like we would do in the past. The stadium's reduced capacity. Like, not gonna lie to you, Bragg Stadium ain't as big as some of y'all remember. Like, some of y'all over here, like, Bragg Stadium seats 25,000. Does it? Does it? Yeah, I know I argue with data. So, current capacity, 19,633. Wait. But they had how many for homecoming? Look, what the fire marshal does and does not know is not our business. 22,000 for homecoming. Again, that didn't come out to after fire marshal couldn't do nothing about it. But Bragg Stadium only seats 19,000 seats. You lost about 6,000 seats in the renovation. So some of that question was from somebody that was informed. Like, But at the same point, look, we getting bust overhead with a chair for $50 a ticket, right? I mean, it's a fair question. So you start to kind of think maybe that's something that you might have considered. But I do love, again, I love Rattler Nation's nose. Like, it was far in between. So what do we do next about it? Yeah, I know I don't like to ask questions unless I try to find some answers. Now, we do know there's a push for a new stadium. Like, again, I argue with data. I don't argue with my heart and feelings. I don't do all that. So y'all remember the strategic plan? Y'all remember over here? That's Bragg. Bragg is set to become a track facility. Let me see. We can make it bigger. Yeah, there we go. Again, I argue with data. My feelings and my opinion, we're going to cut that out. So as y'all remember, Bragg's supposed to become a track. You see the old track, it's not going to be there. New stadium's going to be down there. So what's the solution when we get these kind of problems? I mean, because look, the way Willie Simmons is going, y'all going to have these problems. Honestly, some of it you guys just deal with Bragg. Like, you got to deal with Bragg and let it be what it is for the next couple of years. Do you do a temporary expansion and kind of get rid of the north end zone? Do you just like take that over? Like, what do you do with that? Honestly, I don't know. Like, I think north end zone thing is cool if you like that, but it's riddled with problems, especially, from the last meeting I was in. We had a lot of unhappy people about that thing just because how it's organized. Athletics not really making any money off of it. So you really probably need to start pushing for that new stadium. But the problem is the city of Tallahassee just gave FAMU 10, about to hit them up for another like 10 or 15. So I hear some of y'all fussing about, hey, Florida State just got 27 million. Tallahassee about to give FAMU about 25. Like, I'm just saying, like, you can hit me with they get everything argument. I won't argue with you. But I travel to other schools. Florida State and FAMU ain't the only schools I see. I've been to UCF. It's like a city. Like, they got 70,000 students. Track their enrollment in the past 20 years compared to where FAMU's has been. Again, Florida State ain't changed that much. The other schools have surpassed us. West Florida, North Florida, Florida Atlantic, FIU. I can go on. Check their enrollment compared to FAMU. Like, yes. So Tamara said, I did not realize North Enzo was not affiliated with athletics. Man, look, I ain't gonna quote what I heard in the meeting because sometimes I'm there and sometimes I'm there helping for the boosters. But yeah, that's not athletics. They don't get any of that. Whole nother department. But the other thing because notice the quick pivot off of that. Honestly, take over the FSU method. Like, I know y'all got no love for Florida State, but one of the things that we failed to do, and I ain't saying us in general, but I'm saying us, is ask others what they're doing and steal their ideas. Because it's literally what the rest of college athletics does. One of the things that, and I love working with the boosters, but go check FSU boosters. I'll give you 2 minutes. If you ain't got it, look, I'll pull it up for you so you can see something real quick. Because one thing I love about them, them folks some thugs. Like we kind of talk a game sometimes. Them jokers do stuff. So, all right, if you ain't pulled it up, FSU they did get the law school. They did get speech therapy. You are correct. FAMU did get the law school back. But again, UCF is actually kind of working on that. If you don't get your stuff straight, they're going to have the law school and a speech pathology program in Orlando. So, look, I hear you, but I need y'all to be paying attention to what else is going on. So come over here. I know this ain't a Florida State podcast. This ain't the NoCast. Go check out that website and what it says. So if you come up here, and I used to be an FSU employee, so what you'll notice is that thing says boosters.fsu.edu. These Florida State's running that stuff. You go back and you look further down and let them tell you about it. They're going to end up telling you that the boosters are the fundraising department for FSU athletics. It's still a nonprofit, but just kind of look at the leadership. Like, just saying, president, CEO, you start seeing some things up there. But you also start noticing, when you go a little further, the athletic director is very tied into this. Like, I think that's maybe the future of FAMU athletics and FAMU's Rattler boosters, and some of the way that you get some of the NIL and stadium improvements and other things is eventually you might see Rattler boosters get absorbed into the FAMU athletics, same way Florida State took over. Look, I get that y'all still mad at them. If you're still mad about the law school, I got nothing for you. I'm disappointed with that too. But we got it back. Yeah, they took it. They got golf course management over there. That's the close agriculture they get. It is what it is. But you can still steal some ideas from them. Like, as far as getting the stadium going, okay, we're seeing this going to be a sellout for the SWAC Championship. It is. Like, we could play that game where it is or it might not be, but in reality, it's going to be a sellout. And fam, you could probably have a stadium that could seat about 30,000. So how do we get there? That's the other thing. Like, I think part of asking the question, and again, it was a question, wasn't a statement that we need to do this, we need to do that. I know how some of y'all are about Florida State, but at the same point, look, take the ideas. But we've seen with the P3 thing, you've seen where you go back to ONG strike zone. Listen to Kelvin talk about how they pitched that years ago. It didn't come to fruition. Then you literally go a block from campus and see what's going on. Like, it's not that you can't do some of those things, it's that we haven't. And you're starting to see how financially, yo, state don't really give a fuck about us. Like I really hate to word it like that, but it's true. They don't care about us. They don't care about our circumstances. Like when you look at enrollment, they refuse to increase our enrollment because they're looking at the students and how long it takes for them to graduate. But they don't flip that and look at how many students get Pell Grants. Like none of that gets looked at. Now they flip that and they look at Florida State, and Florida State with a care program gets, and UF get the least amount of students that have Pell Grants, and there's a direct correlation. So yeah, I get it. You don't want to move stuff over there, cool, but let's start digging into the deeper parts of this. Like let's start realizing that some of what's going on, yeah, it's systematic, but a lot of it is also like we got to get ready. Like we got to be prepared and understand that if FAMU don't do it for itself, nobody's going to do it for you. Because I get that y'all don't want to seem like we're getting handouts from Florida State. And granted, in good faith, considering what they could be, it's been pretty good for the last 20 years. Like previously, trash. Like they definitely, they effed us over. But in the past decade, relationships been better. Like, do I suggest we take the game to brag? Keep it a beam with you? No. I ain't gonna lie to you. I as I told y'all, Doak is not the best football stadium in the state. It looks gorgeous. But the sound, nah. Like it's louder because there's more people. But if you start just the way FAMU fans are compared to the way that the stadium is laid out, nah, man. Brad, you right on top of the opposing team. Like, I'm just saying, and it's been months ago, so we can laugh at it. Ain't nobody getting slapped at Doak. You're not slapping the security there. Like, no, the fans are not getting on your nerves like that. Like, it's just not going to work. Look, you're not wrong. Look, you are not wrong, man. Look, the state effed us over a lot. And some of that's FSU, some of that's the state of Florida. Like, at a certain point, we gotta be real about who's moving the hands. Yeah, Florida State's taking what they want. But the state ain't doing us a lot of favors either. Like, when last time your governor went to FAMU for something? I'll wait. It's been a minute. Like, just saying. Like, I get what they took away from you and from the previous generations. But at the same point, we got to learn to steal back. Like, because I'm just saying, UF's got an agriculture facility 3 miles from campus, if that far, right on Paul Russell Road. And you're supposed to be the, what did you have to do to get a agricultural facility? Last one you did was in a neighboring county. Like, yeah, we got the vineyards. That's awesome. But you literally have direct competition from the state's flagship institution down the street. So you getting it from both sides. Like, again, I got you, Kenneth. I'll listen. But I look at everybody. I point fingers at multiple sides on this one. Like, so I think we should host a game at Bragg. It's different. It's just different. Doak's not going to give you that environment. That's why I didn't argue with anybody who was like, it's not going to be the same. It's not. Like, Doak ain't the same. It looks pretty, but it's just not the same. One is not yours. Like that's very valid. You know what? Look at UCF. I mean, granted, that's a lot on their own merits in their alumni base, but the state supports FSU and UF only, and they don't hide it. Yes, we have to stand our own and take what is ours. You're right. And we got to push back. I mean, the big schools are getting the biggest piece of the pie. Let's be real with it. There's only one school in the state with its own university system. It's not Florida State or Florida. It's South Florida. USF has an entire university system in its own. Like we kind of sometimes we got to step back and look. Like I've been to the SUS thing a couple times. It's like sometimes it ain't comfortable being a Rattler in the room. But then you also start to see like, we do a lot in spite of, and the state's cool with that. In this case, we should definitely host a SWAC championship at home. It's just a different vibe. It's a different atmosphere. Chance you to show off what you got. Is it going to be a bit of a cluster? Probably. I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be. It's your first time hosting a conference championship since the 90s. And at that point, the NCAA thing versus this is the first time the SWAC's really doing this to brag. They're taking quite a few of your parking spaces. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be confusing for some because some of y'all's tickets, from what I'm hearing, don't say the same thing as where your parking space is. So it's going to be some confusion. You're going to be frustrated, and I believe some of the stuff is first come, first serve, from what I've been told. I don't love the idea of that. I personally like assigned parking. I like assigned seating. I'm one of those when it comes to professional sports. Look, I love sports. I actually like baseball. When I go to Tampa, St. Pete, for a Rays game, I don't care that it's the Rays. I still pay for parking just so I know, this is where I'm parking. So, it's going to be interesting. Do I have it? I do. My cousin Oscar. I just saw him Saturday after the game. So yes, I do have North Carolina cousins. I have cousins all over. My family reunion is, go check us out. Google it. But had a reunion in Thomasville. That's my family. We can bring a good 1,000 people to your city and have, especially Thomasville. So, but yeah, in this case, like I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I posted the question just to kind of see how y'all felt about it. And I love it. I love the Rattler pride. Like, because that's something that's valid. But now we got to turn that into something that's more than pride, but that's product and production. Because they got the day of giving on Tuesday. That's coming up. Well, put a little something out there. But okay. Look, that's I almost guarantee it's one of my cousins. Look, it's my family's huge. It's ridiculous. Tamara says she used to work with Hadley at Fayetteville State. I would guarantee we're related. But we got to get behind our stuff because even now we still share facilities with Florida State. I mean, you may not like it, but go check the tennis schedule. We've used FSU's indoor tennis facility at times. As I showed you the picture, we've used FSU indoor football practice facility at times. Some of it is you're gonna have to get it. We use the mantra in this modern vernacular. You got to get it out the mud. And you're gonna have to. And some of it is in the plans. Like, look, I told y'all, argue with data. Like, I don't argue with my emotions. So let's see. This is where the new stadium is gonna be. But if you look at that G right there, let's go on up. Look, again, I argue with data. I don't argue with my emotions. So you can kind of scroll over. And if you were to scroll over, look up a little bit, you would see that thing's going to say indoor practice facility. That's some of the stuff you got to do. You got to get your own. Like, we have to get our own, but we got to support our own. Do you see that trying to redo the tennis facility? Got to support that. We got to get behind that. I know AD Sykes, y'all may not love her as much as some of us do. After that little ribbon she gave the Cookman, look, some of y'all might like it a little bit more. But some of that is going to have to be that we're going to have to join these organizations, join these groups. Look, I'm looking for something. I can't find it. And the one time I'm looking for it is when I want it. So, but, I found it. Look, I'm financial now. Look, I'm talking trash. I got my Alumni Association pin. I'm financial. I've had this, but I'm financial. Like, so say something I don't like. But we need to join some of these groups, the boosters. Like as much as I foresee a time when the boosters get absorbed into Rattler and the FAMU athletics, much like Seminole boosters did. Just saying, we got to join some of these teams that support our university and support the initiatives, because otherwise, the state ain't gonna give it to you. They're not gonna show you much with two middle fingers, and that's what we've seen for years. FAMU's had the same 9,000 students, and it's harder to get into FAMU than it is to get into FAU and FIU and some of these other schools. You don't believe me? Just check. Like FAMU's darn close to getting into like FSU and UF. FAMU's near that level. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. A lot of us wouldn't have gotten FAMU. I mean, look, I got in the first time. The second time I got in as a transfer student. So I got into FAMU twice. But the second time I definitely got in. You can't deny me. I was a transfer student. I was cheap. I ain't gonna lie. But real talk, like FAMU is much harder to get into. And not only is it much harder to get into, the enrollment numbers are being kept down. So you over there looking, and yeah, if you salty with Florida State and Florida and all them, USF and UCF beat that. But UF's got 50, 60,000 kids. Florida State's got 50, 60,000. UCF's got 70. USF's got 50 something thousand. Like, you start looking at the numbers, and y'all, like the deck is set against us. Like, and if we're going to really develop our program, we're gonna have to fight for that. We're gonna have to make sure that the state understands why our kids may take a little longer to graduate. Like, granted, I was cheap. I paid out of pocket. I ain't got no financial aid. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It wasn't because I couldn't earn it. I didn't qualify. Like, my parents, working people, we just didn't qualify for any of those grants. So only thing I got was loans. I wasn't taking no loans. So I took college, hey, paid out of pocket. Worked the summers, worked the school year, summers off. I mean, but that's part of the story of why a lot of our kids take so long. And we have to get the state to see that. And until they realize that, our kids are going to take longer, they're going to keep our enrollment numbers low, which means the student fees stay lower, which means we're going to consistently have less, make less. A lot of the reason you Humphreys era Rattlers are so proud, there were a lot of y'all. Like, look at FAMU's enrollment during the Humphreys era and compare it to now. Like, you're talking FAMU was like 15, 16,000, like one of the largest schools in the state, considering. Now, one of the smallest schools in the state university system, if not, like, we're close to the smallest. I mean, New College is there. Barely. But we're one of the smallest, and pretty soon we'll probably get surpassed by Florida Poly and those schools too. Like, just because our enrollment numbers are being kept down. So, we were supposed to do a little recruiting special, but boy, y'all was hot about that thing. So, and so the question was, and what made a lot of people upset was, should the SWAC Championship be played at Doak? And look, I wasn't afraid to ask the question because it was a question. It wasn't a statement. And to be honest, I agree with y'all. Nah. Like, the only reason I asked that question really was to get in front of y'all folks who was going to be sitting up there talking bad and saying, oh, yeah, we should have put this game at Doak because the game sold out, ran out parking, all this other stuff. That stuff's bound to happen. And even still, the shuttle stuff, it can work, but yeah, nah. And Florida State would have needed a cut. Like, let's be real with that. They didn't give you Doak for free. Like, you're not getting that for nothing. So in the end, and they're renovating it. Like, they're renovating the stadium. They're actually going to lose capacity themselves. So they're following the modern trend. Like, family, you setting trends. And Tamara, she says, heck no. I agree. But it's for different reasons. It's not for disdain of Florida State. I'm a Florida State fan. Look, I'm indebted to Florida State. That was my first job. If it wasn't for Florida State, I wouldn't have got my job that I got now. If it wasn't for FAMU and FSU, between them two, forever indebted. If it wasn't for FAMU, I wouldn't be here. So, and I mean that literally. My parents met at FAMU. My daughter's, her parents met at FAMU. So FAMU means everything to me. But at the same point, I can also see we got some room to grow. And hopefully we turn these athletic windfalls into things that have us not even considering going to Florida State. Like, let's turn this $300,000-$400,000 we make from the SWAC championship. And yes, I said $300,000-$400,000. I think after you pay everybody, you do this, do that, and the third, you're gonna come out with a couple $100,000. How much of that can go to the baseball program in a new stadium or a new field? Like, let's start with new field. How much of that can go to the softball program and get them some new bleachers? So, you know, the baseball stadium. Again, new baseball stadium, new tennis complex. Let's finish that up. You know, let's start building champions, but building a championship program that is not only built on success, but that's winning. Like, we're able to see, yeah, the girls volleyball, they didn't get to repeat, but they got to defend the championship. They didn't win, but got close. Football team winning championships. You got a championship baseball program that raised hell in some shoddy facilities. Like, I don't know, last time you've been to More Kittles, I'm gonna say it like this. I mean, that Stadium Cookman playing ain't great, but I ain't gonna lie. Go across the street, watch a baseball game. It's not the same. Like, I'm just being real with you. Like, I could lie to you, or I could tell you the truth. It ain't the same. And a lot of it is investment. And so we got to get to the point where it's not even a question. Is FAMU going to host its own events? Absolutely. We saw Lawson Center, amazing. Lawson Center is still a great facility. You know, yeah, a lot of people didn't show up for the basketball game, but it is what it is. I ain't mad at y'all for that. That program right there. Give them a little time. We're gonna get better. Now, Sunday. Sorry, no show Saturday. We're sleeping. Sunday, we will do the recruiting. Talk about some of the recruits that were offered. We were gonna do that today, but look, well, that question was hot, and I didn't want to run from the smoke. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, I definitely wanted to walk in the smoke and be like, you know what? There's smoke and there's fire, and I don't mind. You know, if I pose a question, being responsible for what I put out there, because I wouldn't put it out there if I was scared. I confronted it, and I agree with y'all. FAMU should host the SWAC Championship, and honestly, FAMU should host some more SWAC Championships. Y'all, look, do y'all realize in 2 months, Tallahassee's hosted 2 SWAC Championships? I'm just saying, look, the conference, y'all liking Tallahassee a little bit. Like, next sport we need to get is beach volleyball. Like, I'm just saying, I know Florida State's already got it, but you know, maybe we do men's volleyball, men's soccer, something to just differentiate. Like, I'm tired of competing with them. Like, look, that's my second favorite school, but athletically, but I don't want to compete with Florida State. I want something we can dominate. That's ours. That belongs to FAMU. Like, that we can have some banners about, and we can get kids over there being like, "Oh no, I want to go to FAM." Like, they got the program. Y'all ain't got that. But that's a whole horse of a different story, you know. But again, Sunday we're gonna look at these recruits. Who's got offered? Who didn't get offered? Look, y'all saw we just got a commitment from a basketball player. Did get a conference player of the week from the bowling team, and the basketball team. The men's team gave me some hope. Oh, we lost, but they gave me some hope. So, but appreciate y'all as always. HBCU Digital Network, this home to Herb Stewart and the Black Techies. Also, home to the Fangs Up podcast. Look, check the FQ FAMU Twitter page. Next time, I promise I won't put up something so controversial. Shout out to Brian Fulford for the Orange and ONG Strike Zone. I almost said Orange and Green Strike Zone, but that's what ONG stands for. Because he definitely let me know. He's like, Keith, you started the pod. I'm like, hey, man, it's just a question, bro. You know me. I got to ask sometimes. So shout out to them. Check them out. I don't, I know they're doing a show on Wednesday. I don't know if they're gonna do the show on the weekend like they normally do, but check them out. Also, make sure you check out her too in the Black Techies. And as always, it's gonna be Fangs up.
Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started.
Are you kidding me? Unreal.
While our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.
Does he have it?